Hey everybody, I got asked to teach a little lesson on how I play I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry, so I thought I would do that here. Yeah, thanks for asking. Anytime that you folks want a lesson, if I can do it, I'll do it. Go ahead and ask away. The first step to this is I play the song in drop D, so if you're in a standard tuning, just take your low E string, tune it down to a D note. That's the first step. So that's one of the big secrets, I guess, of the tune. So I'm using D. Your G note, now if you're playing your G chord, is up here at the 5th fret. So you have to learn to reach with your ring finger. A lot of times I use my pinky finger. I'll use this voicing. I have long fingers and big hands, so it's easy for me to reach to the 5th fret. So you might have to kind of figure out your own fingering in order to be able to reach those things. But a lot of times I just reach out with my pinky finger. It just depends on what I'm doing. Another little chord shape that I use that's maybe a little unusual is instead of this D chord, a lot of times I'll just use these two fingers and I'll either leave the high E string open so it suspends it, or I'll mute it so that high E string makes no sound. But you'll see me play this. That's a D chord. You could see it's the same as the D chord there. So I kind of abbreviate that. And sometimes I add my ring finger in here at the 4th fret of the D string, so I get the 3rd. So that could be kind of a cool voicing for a D chord. So you'll see this as a D chord. That's also a D chord, just with a little different voicing because it puts the 3rd in the lower register. Sometimes I play with my first finger at the 2nd fret of the A string. That's a B note, and I use that as a G chord. So I leave my middle finger where it is, and use my first finger at the 2nd fret of the B string. So you'll see those two things. And then I basically just picked out the melody. Do a little slide there. So you can play the whole melody pretty much on that D string. And then anytime there's a space, anytime there's a half note, I just hit that low D, now a D string, that low string. Here's the 7. So that melody lays out pretty nice over the chords. You can pretty much find the melody note if you're in a G chord. If you're in an A chord, you'll find it. Sometimes I just slide into those notes in order to get to them. Let me play that one more time. Sometimes I'll fill that space also with a strum. So I'm playing basically the melody, and anytime there's a long note, I just kind of learn to fill the space with a strum, with a bass note, something that's just the chord that I'm on in the song. So if I was going to improvise around that once I kind of get it going, there's a lot of other colorful things I can do. Sometimes I'm landing in those chord shapes, as you can see. I do a little hammer on from time to time. Little pull off, that's a cool little lick. Hammer on, pull over an A chord. And pretty much every solo that I play is just that, some variation of that. One of the biggest things that you can do whenever you're thinking of playing rhythm or playing solo, think about what you did in the last solo, if you're playing rhythm, in the last verse. And think about ways that you can change it up. You don't have to change it a lot, but you don't want to do exactly the same thing every time, because people get, I don't know the word, hypnotized by it, right? They pay attention then to your rhythm guitar and what you're doing. Or if it's something that they've heard before, then their ears kind of gloss over it. So you want to be figuring out ways to change things up. It doesn't have to be a lot, because you want the song still to sound like the song. And you don't have a foundation of rhythm if you're playing solo. You don't have another band like supporting you. So you can't go too far out on a wire unless you're really confident you can get back in. So those are some things to think about. So play through just that basic melody with some slides, maybe some of those little hammer-ons. If you can figure out places to put in chords or bass notes, come up with a couple of different ways that you can do it for each of those little phrases, and then change them each time. You could play however many, 1, 2, 3 solos in this, 4 solos potentially if you wanted. I just generally play a couple so that I kind of run out of ideas, and you don't want the song to be so long that people get bored, right? That's kind of one of the keys. Now, this song's in 3, so when you're playing rhythm, you're going to play bass, strum, strum, bass, strum, strum, bass. So because I have 2 D notes, you only get 1 bass note per measure. So I generally try to save these low D notes, now that I'm in drop D, for like powerful spots, like the ends of phrases. So I might do, hear the lonesome whippoorwill, it sounds too blue to fly. The midnight train is winding low. I'm so lonesome. You can kind of see I'm hitting those low notes like at the end of the first verse, and then in the second verse, to give it a little more energy, to kind of boost the energy, I'm hitting those low notes a little more frequency. Basically, just by choosing when to hit your bass note and what bass note to use, you can really change the texture. I'm not doing anything especially fancy with my right hand. I'm not doing anything especially fancy with my left hand. It's just that I'm choosing to play those low notes more in the second verse than in the first verse, and it changes the whole vibe of the verses. That means that you have kind of an arc to your song. So as a singer, or a singer and a guitar player, you're trying to figure out ways to kind of make the song have a shape, right? That you're going to reach a high point of the song, reach a place where the song gets to, I don't know, its highest energy point, or where something happens. So you kind of have to make a plan as you move through each of those verses of how you're going to change. What are the elements that you're going to introduce? So if you listen to the video, I kind of start start small, basically, I guess. I just play basic, like bass, strum, sort of waltz rhythm. And I don't really concentrate on the low string. In the second verse, I'll concentrate more on the low strings. In the third verse, I do more strummy stuff, although the third verse is coming out of a solo, so it's already going to kind of be interesting. When one thing flows to another, it kind of changes everything. So you have to think about how each of those verses functions. So the first verse is going to be interesting no matter what, because nobody's heard the song yet. So that's a place where you don't have to use many tricks, because the song's already interesting. When it resets and you go into the second verse, you need to change something. Something needs to be different just in the texture so that the song goes somewhere. It doesn't mean it has to be louder. It doesn't mean you have to do what I'm doing. You just have to think about, like, okay, I'm going to frame this verse out in a different way using my guitar. Then you're going to have another solo. So the third verse doesn't have to be high energy again. In fact, sometimes it's really dynamic if you bring it way down and have really low energy in the third verse, because you've come out of the solo, and then that gives you some place to go. If you start out a song playing full blast, you have no way to build. You have nowhere to go with the song. So you have to start out reserved and really make a plan of what the song arc is going to be. Now, one of the things in my song, the last verse, I do a little walk down. Let me show you that, where I play the C sharp, the B, A, G, F sharp, A. So here, let's see, the silence of a falling star lights up a purple sky, and as I wonder where you are, I'm so lonesome I could cry. I do that little walk down because the words say a falling star, so I thought, oh, that'd be a cool way to kind of emulate a falling star, that the bass line falls as you go. Whatever, just walking down the scale there. Anytime I hear a place that I can do that, if the lyrics say falling or rising or something, a lot of times I'll use my rhythm playing to kind of boost it and emulate what the lyrics are saying. It's just a cool way of doing it. So make a plan. I mean, ultimately, that's what it comes to. You don't just sit down and strum the guitar. You can do that, but if you want to like step up a level, think about where the song starts and where you want it to go. How can you play the guitar in order to add those things in? It doesn't take a lot of tricks. You know, I'm not doing anything really fancy. I'm not doing alternate voicings up the neck or anything. I'm doing kind of these basic things that I taught you at the beginning and mixing and matching them in different ways. The biggest thing is to be disciplined so that you are intentional about how the song is crafted, about how the song arcs. I hope that helps. Practice these things. Oh, I guess the one last trick that I sometimes do is I add in some little chords. So like I might do hear the lonesome whippoorwill, the sounds too blue to cry, where I just do he sounds. I strum that whole chord rather than a bass note. Sometimes I call that marking the chord, where you just kind of strum across all the strings to take the place of a bass note, or even to take the place of that first bass strum, just to kind of give it an embellishment. It gives it a kind of a dramatic flair. I don't do that all the time, and I try to do it in really strategic and important spots. So like I've never seen a night so long, as time goes crawling by. Right here, where I want to accent that chord change, and then maybe I'll do it again. Just kind of in the transition between those vocal phrases. That's a cool way of adding some color to it. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and if I can, I'll answer them there, or if I have to, I'll make another video, and hopefully people can learn the song. It's fun to play it. I like to apply this kind of drop D technique to a lot of different songs. It's fun to play, especially as a solo player, as a solo singer. Drop D works really well because it gives you a big range of stuff, a big range of sound, I guess. And there's a lot of cool techniques that you can do with it. If you haven't played with drop D, check it out. If you have played with it, hopefully there's some new ideas in here. All right, thanks everybody. See ya.